The thing is like, I know among some people I've like gained a sort of reputation for being a more like gatekeepy, woke, scoldy leftist.
Which is weird because, like, okay, I'm going to say one thing. Okay, I'll call a spade, here, Jack. You are definitely guilty of being a spicy on the Twitter. Okay. For anyone here who doesn't know, up on the screen right now is none other than Chris Raygun, an incredibly popular YouTuber. I'm not totally familiar with his work because, again, how do you do, fellow kids? I'm older than the dirt I sleep in, all that kind of stuff. The reason I got sent this clip, and the reason this is even in my purview, happens to do with Jack Saint. I do enjoy the work of Jack Saint. I think he's a delightful human being, and I think he's got very nice, long, flowing hair, which we should spend time to appreciate every now and then. I don't think that's a bad thing. But apparently, there's a bit of a beef and or feud going on between the two of them, starting out, of course, with the dear girl, aka Steph. And I'm going to say that over and over and over again, because for some reason, everyone on the right, or anyone criticizing Steph, Ferocious Steph, seems to want to erase her name and only call her Dear Girl. So we're going to stop doing that. We're going to call her Steph and or Ferocious Steph because those are her monikers on the internets, and talk a little bit about the controversy. But that somehow pulled Jack into it. I'm not totally sure. I haven't even seen this yet. So
head into matchmaking and match with another team. And before the game would start, we would have some time to meet the other players. Usually, you would be called or like a massive and then your competitive spark would be driven. You'd be, oh, how could that person say that to me? I'm gonna shoot him in the stupid head.
Hey, I'm gonna fuck your mama, bitch.
And then you would play the game. You would actually get into the action, and you would have the opportunity to shoot that stupid bitch in the teeth. You would have the opportunity to kill him and then crouch over his body like some kind of sadistic fucking Richard Simmons. And then the magic of the post-game lobby would reveal itself. Whether you won or you lost, after the game, the sparks would fly.
Fucking hate that. Fuck you. Message me. Tell me, how many dicks did you guys suck to get that much host? Just message me. 20, 25? I'm guessing 25.
I honestly miss the post-game lobby. I miss when people would come together and just insult each other and blow off some steam. The post-game lobby was essentially every kid's therapy session who was too poor to afford therapy. Had a bad day at school, maybe you got your lunch money stolen by the fucking principal again. Maybe you were made fun of in the hallway because
I'm going to say pretty strongly that that's going to be the case for, I think, a minority of people. I think most people who get into those situations who aren't, again, probably straight cis males, probably have a much harder time in those lobbies. I'm guessing they're not therapy as much as they will create the need for therapy.
Because it looks like you peed your pants, but you really just spilled some Snapple on your crotch, I swear to fucking God. And all that pent-up aggression, all that frustration would follow you home, into the video game, into the pre-game lobby, and out again in the post-game lobby. It was a chance for you to let it all out for once. Actually, because what are you gonna do? You're gonna tell your dad to suck your dick? You're not gonna do that. He's gonna kick your ass. He's gonna send you to fucking military school. Idiot.
You look like you came from PS1, goddammit.
Yeah, try to own me again. See how quickly you get banned, idiot.
There's a magical toxicity that exists within the pre-game and post-game lobby that kind of fell out of relevance.
Magical
after,
toxicity.
TeamSpeak,
wow.
Skype, and Discord, and even on the platforms like PlayStation and Xbox when Party Chat started to get introduced. Post-game lobbies became kind of quiet and barren, and there really wasn't much point to being in it anymore. So the reason we're talking about post-game lobbies and pre-game lobbies and voice chat in video games is because voice chat has recently come up as a subject of conversation recently. It found its way across my Twitter feed. I don't really know how or why, but I saw it. I saw it in a very weird form. In the form of this individual here, kind of making an argument as to why voice chat in competitive play is unfair, and it's really confusing.
The only way to have a level playing field at the highest level of play is to not have voice chat, to not have people give up their linguistic profiles. I mean, maybe you think, you know, if you are a competitive gamer, which a lot of people have been like, Steph, you clearly know nothing about competitive play. Well, competition, by the way, y'all, competition requires you to get every advantage possible. To become the top 0.01% in any video game, you have to squeeze every amount of advantage you can possibly get. Voice chat is unfair, period.
She literally makes the argument, oh, in competitive play, you have to squeeze out every advantage that you can, and then proceeds to say, well, not voice chat though. Not communicating with your teammates in a
I love how this is evergreen 16 years later. Wow, this is 16 years old. Unreal Tournament 2004 lends incontrovertible proof to John Gabriel's greater internet fuckwad theory. Normal person plus anonymity plus audience equals total fuckwad. It's not wrong. This is evergreen. I think this is gonna stand the test of time. So that's good.
meaningful way. No.
Voices. are here telling me that voice chat isn't a problem, and that is a fact. Y'all have voices that aren't marginalized.
Listen, honey, I don't know if you got the message, but we're all on equal footing now. The great equalizer has placed us all in the same category of marginalization.
Coming
Oh. Oh, I didn't get the memo. Oh, okay. So racism's over. That's cool. Sexism's over too. We smashed the patriarchy. We did it. I don't know when it happened. It must have been last night. Like, I must have been sleeping, and then that happened overnight. So good job. Thanks to everyone. Like, I guess there's a lot of people I'd have to thank, but thank you. Thanks for smashing the patriarchy. That's cool. That's cool. So trans rights, that's not a thing we have to say anymore, because they have rights. They're completely on equal footing. They don't face any kind of oppression in society whatsoever. Cool. I mean, that's good, I guess. I mean, I'd rather have that than not have it, right? It was Margaret Thatcher. Oh, Margaret Thatcher. Thank you. Oh, that's good. Cool. All right. Well, this is good to know.
in and saying,
we weren't talking about harassment. We were talking about competitive play and why competitive play is unfair. It's not about there being harassment, although
probably because they're experiencing harassment. That might be one thing, because they're unable to actually participate in the exact same arena as everyone else, because again they experience harassment, and they probably experience it on a much larger scale. So see, if there was one person who came to voice chat who had a feminine sounding voice, all of a sudden that one person would probably be the target, especially if they were successful at what they were doing. They would probably get bombarded by other players. So that's kind of the problem. I mean, I'm pretty sure we can get some empirical data on this instead of just talking about the feels versus the reals. So as of now, until I get that empirical data, I'll bring that up. I can tell you from first-hand experience, most of the women I know who I've spoken to who actually enjoy video games or playing competitive video games oftentimes turn off their voice chat. They oftentimes don't participate in it, because if they do, they face an unbelievable amount of harassment. Whether that be people saying that they're going to rape them, people saying that they're worse gamers because of their gender, people saying even more horrific things than the first example. So yeah, there's a very strong reason why they would not want to participate in voice chat, which yes would limit your ability to participate competitively in these games if they are team games. If it's a team game where you have to tell your other players, hey, by the way, we need you to circle around that, I need you to go heal somebody, something to that effect. If you can't participate in voice chat because of the harassment you're going to face, then you won't be able to do that. I mean, it's very, very simple.
Everything that you said is indeed true. Look, dude, I have never experienced anything meaner than the shit that I heard on Xbox Live, but that's not the discussion. The discussion is whether or not voice chat is unfair, and I don't understand. Am I fucking retarded? Am I a damn remedial fool? Now, the reason this video even blew up into anything at all is because this individual is currently on Twitch staff. I believe, from what I've gathered, she's on the Twitch Safety Council, or Trust and Safety Council, whatever the hell that council does. So a lot of people are seeing this as a sign that the powers that be are looking down on voice chat, and kind of like the idea is basically that, our toxic cesspool of garbage.
Okay, so again, I didn't know a lot about Chris Raygun. I know he's from kind of the more anti-SJW side of the internet, or at least was pretty big into that scene, but he's one of those people now who's kind of starting to change with the times. Like, the Overton window shifts, I guess, at a different speed for everybody, so it's not like everyone's going to be on the right side of history and the cultural zeitgeist at every single opportunity and every moment, and that's fine. People come to where they get to at certain points in time, and eventually, if someone can repair some of the damage they've done, I mean, I'm always open. The door is always 100% open on my side of the aisle to people changing and evolving. And apparently he's had some debates with Vosh. He has come around on the trans issue, so he's starting to talking a little bit more about trans rights, things like that. But at the same time, you can tell that you're kind of woefully out of your depth when it comes to this. You're coming to this basically from the perspective of, like, a straight dude, a straight cis dude, more importantly, and being like, I don't see what the problem is. Yeah, well, of course you don't, because it doesn't affect you. That's pretty much what's happening here, right? Like, I don't see a problem. Am I missing something? Like, I'm told that we have complete equality, so I don't see why there's anything different here.
That we all kind of love deep down, even if we don't want to admit it, is under threat because Twitch, I guess, has the power to do that. I wouldn't be that alarmist about it. I don't know if Twitch really has any say in any of that shit. And look, guys, I'm not going to pretend that this is all even Stevens, all right? I have personally heard girls speak in video games and get a fucking hilarious amount of bullshit. Like, actually, like, way more than I've ever gotten. Even when I was, like, a squeaker, when I was, like, fucking 11. So I'm not gonna pretend, like, the harassment and all that shit is even Stevens. But the unfairness thing...
Of course there's a but. There's always a but, right? Hey, no. I'm not a racist. But... no, hold on. My dudes. I'm not a sexist, okay? But
thing is just stupid. So apparently Steph just started her new job on the Twitch Safety Advisory Council literally like a couple days ago. Like, not even like, you could count it in hours, honestly. And pretty much immediately was jumped on for this kind of stupid hot take. But I'm seeing this Twitter post now, and I'm going to give her the due diligence and see what she really means. Sure are a lot of people trying to make me and my arguments look bad right now, clipping and retweeting my most frustrated takes, perpetuating conclusions I've never made. Few people are being rational, most want to dogpile, most are being hateful, it's a lot. Destiny picked this fight with me. Completely missing the point even. My voice chat argument is best understood in the context of Heroes of the Storm. Okay, well, let's click the link. Let's see what the context of Hero of the Storm is. Okay, so Heroes of the Storm announces that voice chat goes live, hero adjustments and bug fixes in the latest patch. Okay, it seems pretty standard patch notes. Voice chat goes live, and with no improved moderation tools and no acknowledgement of my community's fights. We have been silenced and ignored by Blizzard. You've been silenced by the inclusion of voice chat. I'm trying to understand, but that seems kind of hilarious. Heroes of the Storm was a bastion for many players trying to avoid this, but it's clear through your lack of effort, we aren't welcome. You know you can disable voice chat, right? Like, you can turn voice chat off in most video games. Like, I don't understand why just allowing people to communicate is harmful to you. That's kind of insane. Oh, Chris, that's such a right-wing argument. You're such a chud. Oh my god. I hate that I even have to voice that stupid, like, hypothetical opinion that I know I'm gonna get, because I know there's somebody watching this being like, Chris Reagan's a transphobioid. I swear to God, dude. I just think the opinion is dumb. But maybe we're wrong. Maybe we are jumping the gun still. Let us continue to read why Heroes of the Storm should not add voice chat. Being able to voice chat with your teammates is an indisputable game
I was thinking the same
edge.
thing. Do you think she's never heard that argument?
We had to scrounge for every edge that we could get.
Competition requires you to get every advantage possible.
What? This is the Twitter thread, by the way, that she linked to kind of give more context to her opinion.
Okay, I'll be honest, I don't understand why all this was so controversial, right? Like, everyone is like, holy smokes, how could she say such things? Like, I think it's pretty commonplace, it's understood. It's the same thing, like, with the original, and the reason I'm talking about this and why this is kind of important is when it comes to the culture wars right now, there's a lot of people who've been saying that this is going to become Gamergate 2. That Ferocious Steph has basically started the course of history down this road, that we're going to experience Gamergate 2. And I was like, well, if we're going to experience Gamergate 2, that's because you're going to create it. It's going to be a Gamergate 2 of your own creation. So just even threatening something, like that's what your Sargon of Akkads are saying right now, your Quarterines are saying right now, all of them are like, this is the start of Gamergate 2. It's like, okay, fine. Are you in the midst of creating it? Because you shouldn't say, like, like, oh, this is the rise of fascism as I start to gather my fellow fascists and rise together. Like, come on. You can be pretty transparent about this. And the same problem with the first Gamergate. If you got people coming forward and saying, hey, this is a problem, I just want to identify the problem. I'm not even saying, by the way, every single one of you is the problem. I'm saying this is a problem for people who are in the minority, right? We are the ones being oppressed. I'm just saying I want to bring light to the fact that I'm oppressed. It's like Black Lives Matter. And then all of a sudden someone else is like, well, all lives matter, bro. All right, just so you know. It's basically people bringing the issue forward. Not even saying that this issue is something that has to be incredibly controversial or something that, you know, we should change tomorrow. Just, I want you to be aware of it. Okay, please. And then when they hear this, it's like, well, that's Gamergate 2. Yeah, it's starting. Yeah, this is the fucking revolution.
But it's still ridiculous. Convenient voice chat in pickup team games is anti-inclusivity. It forces minorities to reveal themselves to potential harassers or be handicapped at gameplay. I am willing to potentially admit that maybe I just don't have the experience to talk about this. Maybe I don't have their experience. Maybe I really don't know.
See, like, right there, because there's going to be a but. I know we're coming up to a but that is growth. Like, that right there, those couple seconds, that's growth. And that's what you want to see. And if I was in the midst of a conversation instead of this kind of one-way thing that's going on right now, that's the point where you would push forward and be like, no. You're getting there, actually. You're on the right path. Yes, you're right. You're getting close now. As I often say, like, ooh, that's not so close, but you're on the right path. But now there's I guarantee there's going to be a but at the end of this.
Know what it's like to be recognized as a girl and deal with the shit that they go through in voice chat specifically. May participate in voice chat to help fight for their right to exist in the gaming world. Thank you. This activism is inspiring and productive, but it is not a battle you should be forced to fight. You're not, but that's the thing though, you're not forced to participate. That's kind of the point of voice chat, is that you can choose to jump in and out, or you can choose to disable it, but you just admitted that people are actually using voice chat to further socially progress.
Yeah, but if you extrapolate that argument, it's not going to hold up in any other facet of society. You can't turn to women and be like, well, in this particular category, to get into this job field, you will face incredible amounts of discrimination. But you can choose. It's up to you whether or not you want to even try and participate. So if you don't want to try and apply for that job, that's your choice. I mean, whether or not you'll experience sexism, discrimination, all that kind of stuff, I mean, probably. But it's up to you. You get to choose. So, I mean, no one's asking you. No one's forcing you to do this. If you don't want to experience harassment, don't get a job. It's pretty simple, right?
Values, right? You just literally made the argument that people are fighting for their right to exist in voice chat and that it's a valuable form of activism. So why would you want to take that avenue of activism away from somebody else just because you personally don't want to participate in it? Even from the frame of reference of this person, this doesn't make any sense. It's a floundering argument. Now, I've got to admit something to you guys. When I first started recording this video, when I first sat down to do this recording, my intention was to be kind of as kind and as charitable to this person as possible. But the longer this social media shitstorm continues to unravel in the public square, the more convinced I am that maybe I shouldn't be so charitable. I was originally going to ignore the elephant in the room.
No. Oh, this is the worst butt. This is the biggest butt of all time. This is Omega butt right now. This right now, you know, like, you could have cut it off. All right. He's at what, the 50-minute mark. He's got less than like 6 minutes left. You could have cut it right here. And I probably would have walked away with this saying like, you know, that was maybe a minute of growth and like 14 minutes of chuddery. So you're still a chud, but that minute of growth, there's potential there. And I like that potential. That seems to be like something that we can extrapolate or develop, you know?
In the form of, you know, this
Shakira's
person...
but still bitter. Yeah, but not nearly as beautiful, okay? Not nearly as beautiful. Or J-Lo's. J-Lo's. Unbelievable. Sensational. It's incredible. She's like 50 years old and still one of the greatest butts of all time. I just, can't stop talking about it or thinking about it. It consumes me. But still, at the same time.
Believing that she is a deer?
In my spare time, I go out to my yard. And I trance around.
So, what he did earlier was he called people out for doing this, by the way. He was like, people are ignoring her arguments and they just seem to be fixating on the whole dear girl aspect of it. And you got almost to the end of the video and then you did the exact same thing. You did the same thing that you were calling out as shitty behavior. And guess what? Yeah, it is shitty behavior. I mean, this is the definition of an ad hom. All right, when you're going to attack someone's character rather than their arguments.
And I eat grass.
Shit, oh, how dare you think it's hilarious that a grown adult human being walks around in her backyard and eats grass off the fucking ground? How dare you? Guys, if we can make fun of Pete Buttigieg looking like a fucking rat, something that he has no fucking control over, if we can make fun of Donald Trump and his stupid hair and his fucking jaundiced skin and his stupid little tiny hands, if we can make fun of Ben Shapiro for being a short...
You're punching up versus punching down. That's the difference. Do you not see that? Like, holy fuck. Do you not... It'll never stop annoying me when people are like, yeah, okay, we spend all day making fun of conservatives. Rich, white, cis, male conservatives. We do that all day. So why can't I make fun of a trans woman? What's wrong with me making fun of a trans woman right now? Okay, it's kind of unusual to me. I just don't understand. Why does she think she's an animal? So that's weird.
Surely we can make fun of this. I have a clear conscience about it. I'm totally fine with it. And the reason I'm totally fine with it is for the same reason that I'm fine with people making fun of Ben Shapiro and Pete Buttigieg and all sorts of other people for things that they might not be able to control. And
So yeah, this would have been like, this is something I directly want to speak to him about, because again, you're not understanding a very, very simple concept about punching up, punching down. One group marginalized by society, one group consistently vilified by society, one group has an abhorrently high suicide rate because of the stigmatization that they experience every single day in their lives. So yes, making fun of them is fucking ghoulish, and you should not do it. I can tell you that right away. Ben Shapiro, deeply entrenched cis white male, doing just fine, super rich, a lot of things you can make fun of them for.
Really genuinely interesting conversation, I think, that's going on right now on the left, of like two conversations actually. One about gatekeeping, like who isn't allowed to be like on the left, and then there's another one about like the nature of the alt-right pipeline and like how someone's rhetoric might push people towards more radical right-wing beliefs. Even if they themselves aren't right-wing, or maybe like they actively speak against those things, but they still kind of like engage in reactionary rhetoric. You know what I mean?
I agree with you. These are like the most fascinating culture war discussions going on in the left right now.
Yeah, and I think that people like Chris Reagan are actually like a really fascinating like they meet there, like the gatekeeping and the pipeline conversations.
Can you explain a bit why?
Yeah, so originally what started this wasn't even this like video about Steph. It was, I'd noticed that Chris Reagan has like I checked through his channel, it just like popped up on my feed. I think I was actually suggested his like Punch a Nazi video for some reason. Are you familiar with that one incidentally?
No, I actually don't know anything about his work until you pulled him into my purview. So thank you.
Like, yeah, he's like a few years ago, he was one of those like classic anti-SJW YouTubers who like, if you're familiar with the alt-right pipeline, he would be like one of the prime examples of someone that was not like as bad as like maybe like a Paul Joseph Watson or a Milo Yiannopoulos or something. Not like more apolitical, I guess, but like engaged in a lot of the same talking points and rhetoric. Like I think he was like big on Gamergate and Anita Sarkeesian and that kind of thing.
Right, but when it comes to the alt-right pipeline, a lot of those people, especially like someone like Joe Rogan, they have a demonstrable entry point, whereas like he might bring on someone like Dave Rubin, and then Dave Rubin brings on Stephen Molyneux, and Stephen Molyneux brings on Jared Taylor, and then by this point you're probably listening to someone like Richard Spencer. But Chris Reagan, in that video at least, he implied that he makes fun of your Ben Shapiro's and your Steven
absolutely,
Crowder's.
and that's why I think is interesting, is because then when I watched this video, what I thought was interesting is I think when it comes down to it, we have this thing like he gets grouped up with Sean Head a lot, and I really don't think they're that comparable, because what Sean Head has done. She's tended to acknowledge a lot more of the specifically like bad faith ways that she would engage, where she would sort of co-opt talking points from more reactionary chuddy spheres and then like kind of just spout them in this, well, I'm just being reasonable, when really she wasn't. She was kind of like removing context from what people are saying, misrepresenting them, and especially like while they're in the middle of being harassed, kind of perpetuating that. But she's acknowledged that, and she's removed a lot of her videos, I believe, where she when
she was speaking to me, she said that she wasn't actually angry at feminists her whole life like she thought she was. She was actually mad at a lot of capitalist exploitation and just didn't know how to word it. So for her, the target was feminism.
Yeah, she was kind of a casualty in that she was like almost in a sense pulled into that pipeline. I think like I would definitely say that if there was like a pipeline, people like Sean Head, and I would say probably even Chris Reagan, would have been like at the start of that rather than like deep into it, right? Like I would never in a million years say like, oh, Sean Head or Chris Reagan like are or have ever really been like far right, right? But they did engage in rhetoric that I do believe pushed people in that direction by like co-opting those talking points and then just kind of spouting them uncritically. But where I think that Sean Head has like actually taken a meaningful effort to like change things to reflect this new attitude that she has, like this more reflective attitude, I don't think Chris Reagan really has. And I think it's fascinating how people are sort of trying to bring him in the same way that they're trying to bring Sean Head in. When in contrast to her, he hasn't removed his shit where he's like basically playing defense for Richard Spencer. That's what the Punch a Nazi video was. He like the thing is like I know among some people I've like gained a sort of reputation for being a more like gatekeepy, woke, scoldy leftist.
Which is weird because like, okay, I'm going to say one thing. Okay, I'll call a spade here, Jack. You are definitely guilty of being a spicy on the Twitter. Okay? For someone who's very non-confrontational and lovely and wholesome, you are very confrontational on Twitter in terms of calling people out for their shitty takes.
Yeah.
I often agree with you, don't get me wrong, right? But again, if you're going to play with fire, you're going to expect expect people to
Yeah.
kind of like
Yeah, and I mean, I
lash
think
out.
Video form where I just got information just straight up wrong, and I called myself out for it. So this Richard Spencer guy gave like a really weird speech where he sounded like a creepy Nazi.
Hail
Man,
Trump!
God damn it, God damn it, God damn it. Obviously, totally wrong on that. He's very clearly a Nazi. He was just caught on fucking on tape. Totally ignorant on that one. So it probably just didn't. I was totally misinformed. I totally fucked this one up. And after this live stream, I had, right-wingers flipping out at me, making videos about how, oh, Chris is an SJW because he talked to Vosh, which, by the way, I feel the need to remind you, is exactly what SJWs used to do. Oh, you've talked to a conservative in a respectful manner. I guess you're Ronald Reagan now. Not how it works, I'm sorry to say. Sorry to smash your worldview there. And I had a lot of left-wingers kind of flipping out at me saying like, oh, they didn't believe me. They didn't really believe I changed my mind. They think I'm just sort of jumping into the left-wing bandwagon because that's the grift now and that's what's popular and relevant.
Like, every time I hear that argument, I'm like, there's no money on the left. There is for like 4 podcasts, 2-3 streamers tops. Those are the only ones who are getting like mad rich from this. Oh, sorry, and there's like 4 bread tubers. Otherwise, like, have you seen how much Peter Coffin makes? Peter Coffin has like 250,000 subs. He makes like $2,000 a month off Patreon. Like this, the people at the highest end of the game. Like there's no money on the left. If it's a grift, like holy smokes, I'm playing this really wrong. Tim Pool gets 15,000 people watching him live. Tim Pool. It's Jack. We're doing the thing. It's the thing. So he's gonna do the thing now. This is the thing we've been waiting for. Jack, you're famous.
They're the real Nazis anyway, was uploaded 4 months before the Unite the Right rally in Charlottesville. It has over 3 million views. The fact that it's still up is baffling to me. You got me, guys. I killed Erika. Punch a Nazi was actually a very huge...
Not the argument. This is the exact same thing that Keemstar did a couple days ago. You might remember, where, H3 pointed out the fact that, you were contributing towards a toxic atmosphere. You were telling, well, I mean, that one's way more damning than yours. Yours is, definitely like 6 degrees of Kevin Bacon. But he never said you killed him. He never said any of that.
Huge, as if there's some fake threat. Punch a Nazi is about the left haphazardly throwing that term around when it's a label that should be levied far, far more carefully.
So that's a conservative talking point. That's the one that Steven Crowder makes quite a bit. Like, that we've used that term so much. It's like, it's lost all meaning. There's just no meaning anymore. Like, oh, is this a Nazi? Is this a Nazi? Is that? And I think what most people take umbrage with is the fact that you would be normalizing the concept of Richard Spencer. That you're saying that, hey, Richard Spencer isn't a Nazi. When in fact, yeah, I mean, he's not like a literal Nazi. He hasn't pledged allegiance to the Fourth Reich or anything like that. But he is a white nationalist who's trying to further the cause of white nationalism and create a white ethno-state to his pleasure. And, for that and many other reasons, some people would say that it's justified to punch him in the face. Because, again, they're, punching Nazi light, if you will.
This is a basic lesson, dude. This is the boy who cried Nazi is really what it is. Chris is a Nazi. Shoe on Head is a Nazi. And when the real Nazis come, who's gonna fucking believe you? Do you know who the bad guy is in that story? Because it's not the wolf. Nice try, though. I appreciate the smarmy, weaselly nature of this, because this dude straight up...
But here's the thing. You're like, he's not trying to be swarmy. You're just not getting it. And that's the biggest problem in all this. And, you're creating the straw man where it's like, hey, they're literally calling me a Nazi. I know I'm not a Nazi, so they're wrong. And then I know that's why. That's not at all what they're saying.
I've tried to imply that I started Charlottesville. That is a ballsy take. You'd think if they thought that I was this effective at starting violent revolutions, they'd want me on their side. Chris Reagan, voice of the people. Fucking I'm all for...
And by the way, before we let this point go, the wolf is still fucking shit up. The wolf is not the hero. Just because the boy kind of sucks and he made things shitty for everyone, the wolf is still really shitty too. Don't ignore the wolf. We're not Team Wolf. That's not the moral of the story. You just don't get it.
In my original video about the deer girl, did I make the entire video about the fact that she was a deer? I addressed her arguments head on, and I treated her fairly and with as much respect as I could for somebody that I don't even know and somebody that I don't even particularly like. But no, he mentioned the deer girl. He talked about...
I mean... It's pretty neat because we just watched them back to back. So yeah, you absolutely did highlight the fact that you thought it was super weird that it's a grown woman who thinks she's a deer. That's exactly what what you did in that video. So that's a thing. We should also talk just really, really quickly about the idea that there is a really huge difference between making fun of someone who, again, holds all the power in society, whether it's a, deeply entrenched, rich, white, cis male like Donald Trump, and someone like Ferocious Steph, who happens to be a member of a marginalized community, one that is often vilified, again, for they're often told that they have mental illnesses or things of that nature by, unfortunately, armchair psychologists like this. And one of the big problems is that it contributes towards a toxic atmosphere that unfortunately ends up in their very, very high rates of suicide. Often over 50% of members of the trans community have attempted suicide at some point in their life. This is due in large part to societal stigma, and it's being reinforced over and over again by their friends, their family, people around them, people in society. It's systemic because it's deeply entrenched within every facet of our lives, and it's aided and increased and reinforced by someone like you, who's again making these videos highlighting things that you think that they have mental illness because of that.
Thing that I kind of want to latch onto, because it's very much that individualizing of every problem, and he talks about that too, where it's like, oh, it's about passing the buck of responsibility. That's what the pipeline's all about, right? Like that's what he claims it's about. It's like, oh, if a kid does a school shooting, do we blame the parents? Do we blame gun control?
Music.
Do we blame this? Yeah, exactly. And it's like a variety of things can play factors, and we should try to analyze and do things about that. Like, yeah, probably a lot of kids who wind up doing terrible things may have had bad home lives, and we should try to do something about that, right? We can't just, I guess his conclusion in terms of this pipeline discussion is just like, oh, let's just assume that it's just about what the person decides to do at the end. Yeah. There's not any other factors up to that point that we should bother actually analyzing.
Yeah, absolutely.
So I think that is the issue that I take and that I really want to stress is it's not just about changing some language, right? Like, for instance, adding a bit at the end of your video where you say, I know I've misrepresented this person's arguments, and I know that I've just thrown all the ad hominems at them that all of their harassers have, but don't harass them. That is just words. That's kind of what he was talking about, I think, with the apology of meaningless words and not putting actual action behind it, right?
Well, I think that's
what he's engaging in.
I think he also feels that we're looking to get him to bend the knee or something, as if the left is a council of people who are you will be ready once we say you're ready, once you've done the proper steps that we say you need to do.
Yeah, which is interesting because once again, that's currently the state that he's in. He's had a couple videos where he's gone, yeah, I posted some cringe before, and then he's gone on stream with Vorsh, and then people have gone, oh look, he's willing to have conversations with the left. I think Chris Ray Gun's all right, but I think his actual rhetoric that he engages in is still this hyper individualizing and co-opting of these right wing disingenuous harassment talking points. Like we saw with the Steph video, because we did actually watch it, as it turns out.
Surprise, surprise. Yeah, I mean, ultimately, I'm not going to speak for you, Jack, but I'm assuming you could give two shits of whether or not he makes a video where he's I would like to apologize to Jack Saint directly, right?
I genuinely want him to change in his rhetoric.
Exactly. I could care less if he ever even say my name, right? But if he doesn't Heisenberg either of us, that's totally fine. I'm totally fine with that, right? I would just rather he came forward and was I understand why what I'm doing to Steph is harmful and why I would like to better myself. That to me, that's fine. That to me, I would be oh, okay, he's actually he is bettering himself.
And then obviously it would be in another thing if he was able to remove the content that was really bad, because that stuff still gets pushed by the algorithm, and I don't think you can necessarily just be well, I don't like to cover up my mistakes. There's ways to deal with that without just letting this these dog shit talking points just kind of continue to cycle around in the algorithm.
Not to mention the monetization of that. If you're still pulling in money from that, it's.
I think he did mention that the videos that I brought up were demonetized because of copyright. But obviously, profiting as a YouTuber myself, profiting isn't just about that, right? You might get monetized views, but then you might just get viewers that then become subscribers, that then become patrons.
Oh yeah,
and
absolutely.
You profit in many ways from that content rather than just
even if ads are turned
video.
off. Yeah. Yeah, I mean, it's still doing the same damage, especially if it's getting millions of views, right?
Yeah. So that's ultimately just the thing for me. Is it's like I want people to genuinely grow and change, not just like do the right series of things for us to go, oh, it seems like he's better now.
Yeah.
No, I actually want to analyze the rhetoric.
You get the badge now, all right? We got a whole bunch of them. They're ready and waiting. I can't wait to anoint you as the newest lefty.
Hey friend, thanks for watching. Before we bombard you with all of our shameless links, we want you to bombard us. Do you have a worker co-op business or local union you'd like us to advertise at the end of our episode for free? So, if you'd like ears on your worker co-op, go down to weareserfs.com. And while you're there, join the Discord because it's filled with righteous guys, gals, and MPals. Finally, come check us out on Twitch Live 5 days a week by going to twitch.tv/theserftv. Yeah. To our lords, Ricky Pilgrim, I'm Raft, Tomospone, Nine Tails Cosmic Fox, Hans Josephine, and Corpse Harvester, we bow meekly for your pleasure. To our Knights of the Round Table, Josh Mickelson, Dylan Byth, Zach Christensen, Todd Buckingham, Todd Lajeunesse, Clement Chetskoff, Cooper Pilot, aka the Man with Large Balls, Political Puppy, Nick Davis, Ali May, and Alan R., we salute you. And to our many merchants and farmers, you have our undying loyalty.